morning. It is just a couple minutes before 6. I probably would have slept a few minutes longer, but the birds conspired to wake me up. There was some pretty loud chirping going on, and then a goose flew overhead and honked at me, woke me up, and then the woodpeckers woke up and went to work. So I got out of bed. So we're gonna dig out some breakfast, some granola, and make some tea, and wake up. So it's about 7:20, and we are all packed up and ready to go. It's overcast this morning, which is consistent with the forecast, which is for a slight possibility of a little bit of rain, maybe around the middle of the day. So we won't worry too much about that. Nothing besides my hiking poles hanging around here. Temperature this morning is about 65, which is quite a bit warmer than the around 50 degrees that they forecast for the overnight temperature. So no problem with cold finger syndrome this morning. So before we get too far along, I should tell you where we're headed immediately anyway, which is to the Mount Algo shelter, which is about 3 miles from the Housatonic campground, and the terrain's not too bad. There is a 500-foot elevation gain and loss between here and there. And when we get there, I'll do a more complete itinerary of today's schedule. It's about 10 minutes after 9, and we've come to the place where the side trail to the Mount Algo shelter leaves the Appalachian Trail. Well, actually, you can just make out the shelter through the trees, but we'll go over and take a look. For today's itinerary, we left Housatonic Mountain campsite and came along to the Mount Algo shelter. And we'll now go down and cross Route 341 and continue along with some ups and downs, mostly up initially, cross Skiff Mountain Road and hit Caleb Peak, and then finally come to St. John's Ledges, where we will descend down to River Road, which we'll follow, and that's a nice road walk until we come to Story Brook campsite, which is sometimes called Stony Brook campsite, called Story Brook here, and spend the night. So we're back at the AT, and it's about exactly 10 o'clock. Our next known point northbound is Route 341, which is only 0.4 of a mile. We just came down that, and that descent was nasty, brutish, but mercifully short. So now we're going to be headed across that field behind me and up into those hills there on the other side of the field. Excuse the road noise. The next known point is Skiff Road, which is 2.8 miles. We'll see if we can get across here safely. I believe that I have completed most of the ascent coming up from Connecticut Route 341. I was down there at about 12 after 10, and it's about 42, 43 after now. So it's about half hour to get up here. 600-700 foot ascent. Pretty steep at the bottom. Definitely rocky. More gradual here towards what I hope is the top. So the profile topo shows mostly a ridgelock, some minor up and downs until we get to Skiff Mountain Road. Then we'll have a little climb to get up to Caleb's Peak. It's obviously another gorgeous day. We did have a little rain before we got to Mount Algo Shelter at about 8:30. Rain for maybe 5 minutes. It was very light, and I could actually hear it more than I could feel it. So I'm guessing that's it for precipitation for today. It is 10 minutes of noon, and we have reached Skiff Mountain Road. It's 0.7 of a mile on to Caleb's Peak, where there's supposed to be some views. And we have to do some climbing to get there. Not too bad, about 500 feet. I think we'll make it. We are at Caleb's Peak. We left Skiff Mountain Road about 11 after taking a short break, and it's about exactly 11:30 now. I've been here for a minute or two. So, and there is in fact a view that would be here even if there were leaves on the tree, and I'll show you that now. So a big glacial erratic, but beyond that is the Housatonic River Valley, headed south. So it's nice they put this rock here for me to sit on and enjoy the view. So it's now about another 0.7 of a mile to the top of St. John's Ledges, which is the path we'll take to descend down to River Road along the Housatonic. There is a bit of a sag between here and there, but for the most part we're done going uphill for today. If I said that it was 11 when we left Skiff Road and it's 11:30 now, I was wrong. It was 12 when we left Skiff Road and it's 12:30, well, 12:35 now. Just wanted to be clear on that. According to the sign, we are at the top of St. John's Ledges, which is basically just a cliff down to the river. And for some reason they decided this would be a good place to make the trail descend down to the river. So sometime soon we should start descending, going down 600-700 feet in the course of half a trail mile. So we were at the top of St. John's Ledges at about 1 o'clock, And we're now at the bottom at River Road, and it's 1:40. Of course, some of that time was taken up with me filming my near-death experience for your viewing benefit. So now we have a walk on River Road. Actually, not that way. That's the wrong way. That way. Of 2.3 miles to get to Stewart Hollow Shelter, where we're not staying, but we may take a look there, and then another 4/10 on to Stony or Storybrook campsite, where hopefully we are staying. So again, since it's a road, we'll probably stash the poles and stroll along. So we've arrived at the Stewart Hollow Brook lean-to. I got here about 2:30, and we're going to take a short break and take a look around. It's only 4/10 on to the next area, but we could still use a break. All right, well, it's about 10 minutes of 3, and we're about ready to move on to our final destination. In case you're wondering why I'm spending so much time dawdling at various campsites and shelters, it's because I'm considering doing a series of dedicated videos, little short videos on each shelter and campsite along the Appalachian Trail in Connecticut, and maybe continue that on into Massachusetts. So I'm spending some time wandering around and taking in the sights and doing some filming. But time to move on. Near where the AT crosses this stream on this 3-log bridge is the side trail that will take us up to Stony Brook campsites. And the sign clearly says Stony Brook, so that will end the controversy as to what the name of this campsite is. It is not Story, it is Stony. So we got to the side trail for the Stony Brook campground about 5 after 3, and then trudged in up a hill looking for the official campsites, and found this one, which is the furthest from the AT and looks to me to be the nicest. So we'll pick this. The only disadvantage to it I can see is that I have to walk way down the trail again to get water, but oh well. So we'll set up here. So time has passed. It's about 4:30 now, and camp is set pretty much. Hammock and tarp are up. We got some water from way down at the bottom of the hill. That was a trudge. And we're kind of debating what to do next. We've been rehydrating ourselves. Sent a message home to Kim on the Delorme InReach satellite device, and well, we'll start working towards dinner. We're going to attempt to get the Bush Buddy going here on the 2Q ZQ shelf, tree stand, tree shelf, whatever it is. We're going to try it out, see how it goes. So we got a bunch of birch bark that we found here in the campsite going, and it's time to start adding twigs. Well, it's just a couple of seconds later, and there's no reason not to put the pot on. So things are going along pretty well. It's not even... There's some little bubbles down in there, but it's not hard to keep it going. What we're going to do with all that water, and there's quite a bit, is we're going to make some tea in my second pot, which we'll talk about later. And then we'll use the rest of what's in here for our sponge bath, but of course we'll need to let it cool down from boiling quite a bit before we do that. So we've had our sponge bath, and now we've changed into our sleeping attire. The weather is actually a little warm for this sleeping attire. These are Patagonia mid-weight fleece, but it's what I got. So it's not bad, but add the quilts in and it starts getting a little steamy, so hopefully the temperature will fall some. Anyway, for dinner tonight, we are going to have a Babelfish 5 meal, and this is chili mac. Now, you've seen enough people eat Babelfish 5 chili mac that I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to use the Bush Buddy again to cook it. Why not? It went pretty easy and pretty well the last use. So, off we go. So, there it is. Chili mac. That looks like it came out about perfect. And it's time to eat. Let's see. I'm liking that. In my house, my wife is the cook, mostly, but she indulges me when I make these and gives me some pointers and tips about how to go about it. And when I was making this meal, she had to go out when I started, and so when I finished, she was gone, and so I finished it up and put it in the dehydrator and set it on its way. And she came home and said, "Well, how did it taste?" I said, "Well, I didn't taste it. I just followed Babelfish 5's recipe and put it in the dehydrator." And she was aghast. She says, "You always taste." Turned out okay anyway.